Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Coach Andres with coachingwithundress.com, and thank you, ladies, for tuning in. Today, we're going to have some great topics to talk about. I'm very excited to be here today. I love, as you can see, the new setup. I just want to say I appreciate everyone in the production team, everyone in my coaching team for this amazing upgrade. I don't know about you. It's more relaxed, comfortable, kind of good. I'm leaning in. We're going to get close together. We're going to lean in. We're going to enjoy the mic. Love the logo, by the way. I mean, how sharp is that? Thank you, George. You know who you are. So before we get started on the topic, it's interesting because I had a few topics here on my laptop and I did all my research on things, but then I had a couple of calls last night, 2 clients, and I wanted to share one of the stories today. You know, obviously no names and all that, but I want to share a story because it reminded me of a scenario that everyone saw globally. And it's about reaction versus responding. Reacting versus response. They're the same thing, right? Are they? Are they the same thing? Reacting, responding, are they the same thing? Well, they're not actually. Technically, that has like the same kind of idea of things, but there's 2 different approaches to it. So before we get started about that, what I would really appreciate is your subscription. I would really appreciate your subscription and notify that bell so you see future videos coming up. If you have any questions about this topic or this scenario, or if you've been in this situation before in the dating world, this all has to do with dating, of course, leave a comment, leave a question, leave your story. I want to hear it. I can't wait to see it. And again, I respond to them personally myself, no one else. So I love reading what you all have to say. Reaction versus responding, react versus response. Well, you all saw that whole global scene of the Will Smith slap, you know, the whole Chris Rock, you know. That was kind of crushing. That was heartbreaking because I love Will Smith and I still love him. I love his character. I love his acting. He's always done, you know, great, powerful, inspirational roles. Great range. I love film. I love acting. So that kind of like showed me, not that he's a bad person, of course. Not that he's overly protective of his wife. Not that he maybe has a little emotional unstableness going on in his world. He's probably got a lot going on and overwhelmed. I thought about it. It was like, you know, he had a situation with the whole entanglement, and I'm sure that wasn't very helpful. You know, kind of questioned the masculinity. And then he had to play a role, King Richard, the father of Serena and Venus Williams, which is an amazing movie, by the way. I mean, the performance was through the roof. And that character is very protective of the family. Mr. Williams, Richard Williams, very protective. So I knew right then he probably had some level of lingering character, emotional relatability of that character into himself, plus the whole exposure of the entanglement, and then that simple joke that Chris Rock made just triggered something, and he reacted. Impulsive, emotional, irrational. And it made me think about how when he did that, Chris Rock kept his composure. I mean, he obviously, you could see he shrunk. He shrunk because obviously he mentioned how he was bullied in school. And even after Will Smith left and walked off after that, Chris Rock was like, you know, I could really I got material. You know, I'm a stand-up. You know, I could go there in front of everyone and really hit it where you want it. You know what I mean? You know where I can go with that. And he does it. He swallows his pride, checks his ego, and finishes the job, finishes the performance, the presentation. And he kept his cool, and to a point where everyone empowered him and felt sympathy for him and compassion for him, where one guy took a little step back in his career and one other guy took a step up. He responded. He didn't react. I don't know what I would do in that position, to be honest with you. I've never been slapped. But that must have taken a lot of composure in Chris Rock's reaction to respond, not react. And you're probably asking yourself, Coach Andres, what does this have to do with dating? What does this have to do with relationships? What does it have to do with girls, to me, teaching you women how to date the right man? What does it have to do with it? Oh, it has so much to do with it because of my story and the situation I talked with my client last night, and I brought this scenario to her, and it really helped her. So This is what happened. She's been seeing somebody for almost, I believe, almost half a year. And he's a single father. And she doesn't have any kids. And so everything's been going great. How they met, what's going on. Honestly, the rapport I have, my notes that I take with her, it's always been just like progressively going forward. Great momentum, just good time of like the relationship advancing naturally. It's going great. If anything, there is no problem that we talk about. I'm trying to help her how to keep it fresh, how to keep it exciting, how to show appreciation, how to keep the gratitude, to keep this relationship, this beautiful start of this relationship going in the right direction because she loves it. So what happened is that they have a situation where he's obviously very busy because he's got a daughter, split custody. And so usually on the weekends, on Fridays, when he has a day off or a night off, that's their night to hang out. And sometimes it's Saturday night, but mostly it's a Friday night. And 2 weeks ago, he had the night off, but he's also now coaching wrestling. He took the job part-time, not job, but like the task to coach wrestling because he loves wrestling. He used to wrestle and he wants to pass it on to other kids, not his daughter, but other kids. And I was like, wow, this guy's really great. He takes time on his weekend to coach other kids. It's a solid dude. And so the coaching league, the coaching season has taken over his weekend times. And so he had a coaching event Friday, late afternoon, and coaching practice Saturday morning. And earlier in that week, he went to one of his good friends' unfortunate funeral of his friend's passing of his mother. And this is a good friend that he was like really close with, grew up with, and it really hit him because she was somewhat of a mother figure to him, my client's boyfriend. So he had a big, heavy week. Now taking on coaching, single father, works hard, travels for work, funeral, a lot going on. So my client, she was feeling a little distant around the same time of the coaching and the funeral. And the upcoming weekend of their normal Friday, typical night of them hanging out, that they have great times together, was really looking forward to it because she had amazing news. She was so excited. Her work's going great. She's thriving in her profession. She gets recognized. She's great at what she does. She's an amazing woman, but she was getting so excited she didn't know what to say or do because she was expecting Friday night to work out, but she kind of felt that he was kind of drifting off those 2 weeks when everything was going on with the funeral and the coaching season starting, wrestling season starting. And she didn't hear from him about making their plans every Friday night, the upcoming Friday. And she just missed him. And she was really excited to share good news with him. And she looks forward to these Friday nights. So she booked a session with me and she was like, I think I got ahead of myself, but was this too much? And I was like, let's talk. And so we talked. And she said, I sent him a message saying, I feel very disrespected that you haven't been clear if we're going to be together this Friday. I feel very disrespected of my time. Is that a reaction or is that a response? That's my question. Was that a reaction or was that a response to not hearing from him? And I told her, I was like, so this guy has pretty much 5 to 6 months of credibility of being a solid guy, always coming through with plans, being very consistent, very considerate to your schedule and your time, and always making plans those weekends. But the one time he doesn't is the week and a half, 2 weeks of a new wrestling season going on and a funeral out of town, by the way, out of state. He's kind of probably exhausted and overwhelmed. Probably needs a good night's sleep. Maybe doesn't feel like he wants to show you that side of him being grouchy or emotional or tired, or maybe not the best side of who he is. And maybe he needed that Friday night to decompress, unwind. And she was like, you know what? You're right. He usually always can handle so much. He always feels like he can take on the world. And I'm like, of course he thinks he can. Most men want to do that. And especially a single father of a daughter, I would have, I could easily see that. But he was tired. He needs to clock out in a way. And it was interesting because, excuse me, I'm just moving that down a little lower. Just one sec, keep the video going. There you go. And so he did that. And she was wondering, when we talked last night, I was like, did I do something wrong? Did I throw him off? Does he not interested anymore? Did I make it too easy? And I was like, whoa. You're making this all about a doubting situation about yourself. Insecurities are creeping up, and you jump the situation to assume he's not interested or he's playing you. And she knew right away it's not another woman because he's that busy. And she jumped the situation to come off in the sense of, I feel disrespected of my time for not confirming our date. And I told her, did you really feel disrespected, or were you disappointed because you were so excited to see him? Were you really disrespected, or was it because you were so excited to share all the good news that happened to you at work and you love talking to him? You love being with him. You don't see him that often, so you really value your quality time with him. And she was like, I just missed him. I haven't seen him, and I really look forward to our Friday nights. We both travel. And I told her the Chris Rock, Will Smith situation. I was like, certain times in the relationship world, you have to take off the girlfriend hat and just be another human being, a person, an adult, a partner, a teammate. In a situation where, for all this time I've known this guy who's got a great credibility of 5-6 months of just being on it, now he does something out of character, something out of routine. And she was like, you're right. And I kind of just jumped the situation to assume the worst, and I said such a strong word, which really is not what I meant. I emotionally reacted. And I was like, exactly. What you want to do is respond. And the difference between reacting and respond, like I said, reacting, the slap, emotional, erratic, just kind of boom, which we all do. I've done, guilty. I'm trying to work on it. We're all trying to work on it. But responding is processing the situation a little more, removing the feelings at the situation and looking at it for what it is, taking a step back, checking yourself, humbling yourself. And doing this with someone who you think is worth it. Obviously, you don't do this with people who are shady, questionable character, or someone who's trying to play games with you. And obviously, that's not him. But you do this with people who you see and feel that deserve it. That circle, that inner circle, close friends, family members, loved ones, all those things, those coworkers that you really get along and trust. You do that with those people because they deserve it, because you'd want that back. And she was like, you're right. I wish I'd stepped back and responded and reflected on this was an out of character situation. You probably was exhausted, emotionally overwhelmed. And then I also threw the last part of it because I want to make sure she's aware of this. And I was like, could you imagine him burying his good friend's mom, and then he's thinking back of his head, because I'm telling her this is how I would think if I was him. This is how a man would think if I was him. This is how I would think if I was him and if I was a single father. If I'm burying my good friend's mom and I'm thinking my own daughter and the mother of her, the mother of my daughter, I hope their relationship stays strong. The value of the relationship of a mother-daughter is so important. Weddings and funerals really, I don't want to say test relationships, but really put relationships in perspective of bigger than a boyfriend, girlfriend. That's why I always tell you, and I always tell my clients, you're more than a girlfriend. You're more than a boyfriend. It's more than that. But obviously we have to play these tests and games and all these things, to these trials and errors to establish exclusive community like rights that we're husband and wife, or we're, together forever. If someone has that credibility and you have that relationship built in, those are the times where you want to give someone the benefit of the doubt. And so I was telling her, what did you really want to say? And so she put together a nice little message. I said, send it to me. Let me look at it. I'm going to send it to him. And then we're going to talk afterwards to see what he says. And trust me, we'll do a little damage control, but it's not a deal breaker. He's not he's not going to break up with you, but he now feels a little, whoa, just because you don't get your way, you feel disrespected. Just because I'm not always available on a Friday night when I'm overwhelmed with a lot of things, you're just going to make me feel worse about it. You're going to basically be a problem giver and a problem solver. And she was like, you're right. So she sent me a beautiful, and I told her, don't make it dramatic, don't make it emotional, don't apologize like crazy. Keep it simple, sweet, and short. Us men, we don't need such an emotional explanation of things. Simple, sweet, and short, to the point. That's what we love. So she put a beautiful little paragraph together, and I was like, shorten that up. Less. And it came to a point where, I'm sorry I said that word disrespected. I did not mean it. It was just because I missed you and I was looking forward to you. I know you're going through a lot. If you ever need anything or want to talk, I'm always here for you. And that's it. And she was like, I love that. I'm going to send it to him. I was like, go ahead. And she sent it to him. And the response back was, he was like, yeah, I thought that word was kind of strong because I'm not a disrespectful guy. And it's been a very overwhelming month. And I've told you about it. And I didn't think I was disrespecting your time, but I was just kind of doing my own thing for one night because I never really have a night to himself, he says. And she was like, I apologize. I didn't mean that. It was just because I got caught up because I was so excited to see you. And now they're good. And that's another part about reacting and responding in a relationship or in a situation is how you resolve conflict. Because if you constantly react and cause a disturbance, an argument, a misunderstanding, a fight, which is going to happen. Everyone's done it. It's inevitable. If you keep on reacting within that conversation, reacting in that argument, keep on reacting in that way of trying to resolve conflict, you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to make the problem so much bigger. You're going to put so much gasoline in the fire. You're going to forget what the actual problem originally was. It takes a skill. It takes practice. It's hard. I'm working on it every day. So the point is, if she reacted once, but then with her coaching and her guidance, she recovered by responding and being genuine and compassionate and understanding and real. And you could see in his reaction, in his response, he appreciated that. And she was like, sometimes, my work is very stressful and I kind of just threw it out there and I just wish I didn't. It's okay. People make mistakes. People are going to make mistakes and you're going to make another one and so is he. But we have to learn the lesson overall, the big picture, reaction versus response. You're still going to get off the same message, but it's going to be more impactful, healthier, constructive, and attractive, by the way, if you respond, not react. It's interesting. It was a great talk we had. It was funny because I'm sure in the beginning of this video, like I talked to her, she was like, why are we talking about Will Smith and Chris Rock on the slap? What does that have to do with me? And I was like, you'll see. I want to give you a visual. Everyone knows what happens. Everyone saw that. Now you know the comparison of what a reaction and response is. So next time something happens, which will happen in your relationship with him, your end or his end, doesn't matter. People make mistakes. Make sure you step back. And it's with someone who's worth it, someone who's got credibility, someone who's built consistency into getting to know you, that you try your best. It's not easy. You don't have to do it perfect. You don't have to find the best words. It's not about making it smooth all the time, about doing it. It's about just trying. You're trying to reach out and find the words to say, I don't want to react anymore. I don't want to get emotional so much anymore. I want to be somewhat a little more logical about the situation, a little more understanding and remove the emotion and be like, wow, he did have a tough 2 weeks. And I'm sure he probably needs a Friday night on his own because he's got to get up early in the morning and coach these kids wrestling. I've been in that situation. I have reacted before. And I didn't like it about myself in those past relationships. So I'm working on it myself on trying to respond more and more and trying to outnumber the times I react. As a coach, it's interesting because It's not do what I say, don't do what I do. No, I'm doing what I'm saying, and I'm working on it every day, every week, every relationship, all the time, because we always can get not better, but just more aware. That's the most important thing, being more aware, because I know I have a lot to offer. I know my value. I know what I want, and I know what I don't want. So when I take the time to work on that and practice that, I'm practicing becoming the man I always wanted to be for my future wife, for the future mother of my kids. I'm a family man. I love family. I'm a very family-oriented kind of guy. And so is she, and obviously so is he. You're more than a girlfriend, ladies. When you find a good man and you're in this situation, try your best to take a step back and respond compared to react. And let's see what his response is. My name is Coach Andres. I want to say thank you very much for watching this video. Leave a comment, a question, or a scenario of what you think about this video, or if you've actually been in this situation before. And I have a special offer because I want to do this because I know that time of the month is coming around. Not that time of the month. Valentine's Day. So Coach Andres has got a special for you. If you make a comment, and by your interest in a coaching session, I'm going to respond with a special discounted rate price for any session you choose. Email 30-minute, 1 hour. You make a comment today on this video, and by the time this video comes out, it might be past Valentine's Day, which is okay, but I'm still going to give you the Valentine's Day special, my gift to you, a special discounted rate on any session, and you say, I would love to book a session with you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.